Good evening everybody, and once again welcome back to the video. In this playlist that is Apache Hudi Table Services, a hands-on guide, we are going to explore all the table services in Apache Hudi one by one with a hands-on exercise, including clustering, compaction, cleaning, metadata indexing in an async mode, bootstrapping, export services, and much more. So without wasting any further time, let's get started with the first table service in Hudi. Alright, so before we begin, I want to point out a couple of resources. And if you're completely new to Hudi, right, you can come here and watch these particular videos. This will tell you about the, Apache Hudi stories from Uber innovation to open source, then, table types, query types, indexes in Apache Hudi, and operation types. After that, this particular playlist has about 15 videos and each video has a hands-on exercise. So you can learn everything about Apache Hudi Delta Streamer or Hudi Streamer in action. So let's begin with the Apache Hudi table service in this section. So the first part is we're going to learn about metadata indexing in an async approach. So the first step is we need to download the jar file from the Maven repository. So go to the link, okay, and then simply open the link in the browser. And then over here, you need to download Hudi utility -slim -bundle 2.12-.14.0.jar. So click on that and the jar file will be downloaded on your computer. I have moved the jar in the E1 project directory is inside the folder called jar. So first of all, please make sure to go to the Maven repository and download the jar file and move the jar file in the folder called jar. Now, in order to teach you how to do async metadata indexing, we need some sample data so we can ingest that into the Hudi table. I have a Python script which will generate some fake data. In the folder called sample data, there's a Python file called datagen.py. Simply come to the Python file and right click on it and simply run the Python file. As you can see, this will generate some fake data set for you. And I'm just gonna click on stop. And here, as you can see, it has created a bunch of CSV file for me. So now we can ingest this data using Delta Streamer and then perform async metadata indexing. So let's take a look at the Delta Streamer code. So now we're going to ingest the data, this CSV file into Hudi transactional data lake, and then we're going to run the async metadata indexing. So sharing my screen, again, this should be given to you in the project directory, okay? So over here, we're gonna, use the class as Hudi Streamer. We're gonna use this particular package. Again, if you're using a different Spark version, you need to change this, right? I'm using Spark 3.4, so that's why I have 3.4. If you're using a different one, make sure to change that. After that, over here, we specify the path to the jar file. Again, my jar file is inside the folder called jar, so I'm simply providing the path. Table type as copy on write, operation as upsert, source limit, how much data you wanna read at once, right? For dedupe purposes, I'm gonna be using timestamp. Over here, my source is CSV, so I'm gonna be using this particular class, org.apache.hudi.utilities.sources.csv DFS source. Target, where would you want to create a transactional data lake? I want to create the Hudi transactional data lake in my current working directory, and I have just given the path over here. And then we provide all the Hudi configuration through a file called hudi_tbl.prop file. If we open that up, again, pretty straightforward. And let me make sure this is visible. Okay. Yeah, here we define the record key, which is the primary key, right? We define how I want to partition my data. I want to partition my data by a column called order date. For dedupe purposes, I'm going to be using timestamp. And these are the parameters which is very important. Since we are going to learn how to do async metadata indexing, I am setting Hudi metadata.index.async is set to true. Okay, so this is important again. And I'm going to be showing you for the column stats over here, okay? And then here you can see just bunch of simple settings, right? So this one right here tells where my CSV files are. Again, all my CSV file or the source is inside the folder called orders. That's where all the CSV files are, right? We want to ingest that into Hudi transactional data lake. I define my CSV is separated by /t, right? And headers to true. So hopefully made sense. Again, if you have gone through my Apache Hudi Delta Streamer playlist, this should make sense. Again, this is easy, right? Once we have ingested the data, I'll be talking about the metadata indexing. Okay. So let's copy this, okay, and copy. open terminal, and then what I want to do, let me grab the path first, and then we're going to run this. I'm going to copy this, open my terminal, and I will zoom in, change the directory over here. Hopefully the font size are visible, right? Or if not, I can increase it even further. Let me know in the comment section below. So now I will simply copy this, copy, open terminal, and paste it. Now the Delta streamer is gonna ingest the data from the CSV source into Hoodie transactional data lake. Remember, we have set the async metadata index to true, which means we are gonna learn how we can index the metadata in an async way. So the job is complete, and sure enough, my Hoodie transactional data lake has been built. So I'm gonna do show in Finder, if I can bring this here. As you can see, I do see a folder called Hoodie, and I see a bronze_order, and I see all these partitions, and of course the parquet or the base file. So now we have a Hoodie transactional data lake. So now let's learn about async metadata indexing. So shall we learn about now the async metadata indexing? Let's get started, man. Okay, so again, these all commands are given, okay? So when you go to the GitHub, it should be there, okay? So now we wanna do the metadata indexing in an async approach, right? So here we're gonna say spark.submit. We're gonna use the class. This is the class that we're gonna use, org.apache.hoodie.utilities, and we're gonna use the class HoodieIndexer, okay? We are also gonna provide the Spark bundle package. Again, I'm using Spark 3.4. If you're using a different version, make sure you change these two numbers, okay? After that, we provide the path to the jar file. This is the jar file that I'm using, Hoodie utilities slim bundle.jar. Again, it's the same jar that you guys downloaded from the Maven, right? I'm simply providing the path. After that, here, mode, we are setting that to schedule and execute. Again, you can first schedule and then execute, right? You can either first provide the command schedule, and then you can again run with the command execute, or you can just say schedule and execute. So I just wanted to make sure I talk about that, okay? Now this one right here, base path. So you gotta provide the path where your Hoodie transactional data lake is. Again, I'm doing this all locally. So again, this is the path where my bronze_order Hoodie table is, right? So hopefully made sense. Now observe, table name is bronze_order. Index type as column stats. We wanna create the column stat index, right? Now here I am gonna provide couple of Hoodie configuration. The first one being is I wanna make sure that the metadata is enabled set to true. I also wanna make sure that Hoodie metadata indexing.async is set to true, okay? And then here I'm simply saying Hoodie metadata.index.column stats enable to true, okay? So I'm enabling the column stats, right? So now I can simply copy this particular command, okay? And before I run this, okay, I want to show you something. So if you observe this, inside the Hoodie folder, I do not have any file that says .indexing requested or indexing in flight. So just wanted to make sure that I show you that, okay? So to summarize, again, pretty straightforward. You're gonna use the appropriate class. You provide in the packages, you provide the jar file, you provide the mode, you provide the base path, and bunch of configuration, okay? So let's copy this over here and open terminal, okay? And I'm gonna paste this command over here. Now the metadata indexing should start, and I should see some files there. So as you can see, it's complete. So now if I go here, now observe something here. You see this indexing in flight, indexing requested, and .indexing, which means your indexing was successful. It's literally that easy, right? Now you would perform async metadata indexing in a streaming workload, right? Meaning you want to write data as fast as possible, and in an async mode you want to basically perform the metadata indexing, right? Now why would you do metadata indexing, right? Because you can use the features like datascaping, right? I do have a separate video which talks all about datascaping, a hands-on lab. I'll leave the video in the resources. Now one more thing, okay, you learn how to do that using the Spark submit command, okay? Now, if you are using PySpark, you can also do this in your regular job, right? I mean, what I'm trying to say is you can do it also inline, right? So depending upon your use case, you have the flexibility whether you want to do it inline in your job or you want to do it in an async mode. I do have a blog which talks about the advantages of doing it in an async mode, which you can of course go and read further. I want to leave the video right here. I do not want to make it lengthy. I want to keep it short and sweet. So in this video, you learn how to make a Hoodie transaction data lake, and then you learn how to index the metadata in an async mode. Thank you so much, and all the resources could be found on the GitHub. And yeah, if you have any further questions, you may list the questions in the comment of this video, and I would try my best to help you out. With that being said, keep smiling, keep programming, and I will see you in the next video where we're gonna talk more about table services, maybe like clustering, cleaning, compaction, and others. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.